Wow, the show started already and nobody
The,
told us.
the show did start. Your name's not Sunny Danforth.
Ah, crap. See,
Okay, well, you know what? David was worried fixing lighting situations, but I'll tell you, we've got some quite a few things to talk about on this episode, and to hit it off with, Val Hoyle and Shamia Fagan are right back in the news. And so apparently, the BOLI, Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, settled their racial discrimination lawsuit from the second ex-employee under Val Hoyle. And this one was for $425,000. The earlier settlement was $1.7 million jury verdict. And it was for discrimination for an employee that worked at BOLI for about 8 months in 2020.
yeah. Well,
So,
Val Hoyle hates black people. Apparently, she also hates Jews, but I mean, she's just that's what she is.
well, and I can't
The,
argue with that.
the taxpayers are picking up that tab too, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And the Oregon Department of Justice is defending, BOLI, of course, and arguing, against it and whatnot. And so she didn't have anything to do with the case whatsoever. And so, when you have bad people in office, this is the repercussions, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You shouldn't elect racists and anti-Semites.
No. And then, of course,
There's
Shania
plenty
Fagan.
of good candidates out there. Don't need to.
Yes, we do. And so Shamia Fagan now, we talked about her on Wednesday, that some feds were coming to town. Well, guess what? The U.S. Department of Justice wants Shamia Fagan's tax returns from the
That's
Oregon
right.
Department of Revenue going back to 2020. So we'll keep you
Yeah.
posted on what we find out about that. And I think that'll be interesting.
You suppose that you suppose she declared all of that Lamoda cash that she was getting on the side?
Yeah, that $10,000 a month that she was getting, I don't know, but I
Well,
think they're going to find
that, and the
out.
other, that and the other bags of cash.
Right. I think they're going to find out, and so it's all part of the Lamoda investigation and into her, and might even go over to the Hoyle as well, you know. But right now they're looking at Jimmy Fagan,
Yeah,
so they're in the news, and
they're
unfortunately,
looking
it's
at.
costing Oregon.
Oh yeah, well, of course it does. They're not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I guess the FBI and
No.
the
So
IRS are looking into Cazares and Mitchell as well, right? I think we covered that on a previous show.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, along with what we're paying for, this massive tax kicker, this is $5.6 billion
That's a
back to
lot of
the
money.
taxpayer. That's a
That's a lot of
lot of
money.
money. And in
Yeah.
reading this article, I knew that it was, maybe I just didn't understand what triggered it. Do you understand what triggers the kicker?
It's a percentage of income or confiscations, as I like to call it, that exceeds some percentage of the budget.
Right.
So
You're
they
right.
haven't,
It's
they
2%. It's over 2%. But what I did not realize is the state economists determined what this budget might be, right? And so that is Mark McMullen and spit that out, Josh Lenner. And, they had to go to 2020 and did a budget, and or 2021 and did a budget, and coming up with what they think is going to be the budget, right? So I didn't realize it's whatever the economists come up with. And the economists told the lawmakers that Oregon would have to send back more than $5.5 billion to taxpayers. And now people are going, well, somebody's head ought to roll, because he's been giving McMullen basically has been letting us get some of our taxpayer money back, which is wonderful, for a number of years. And frankly, I like that. I'm not happy that
I like that too.
right. I like that.
I will take
But
any
Oregon has never
tax
seen
credit I can.
anything close to $5.6 billion. Well, yeah, they've never collected so much money either.
Confiscated.
Right. Confiscated. You know, when you have it is even to the effect of, you know, like the gross receipts tax. There's so many taxes that are put on businesses these days, let alone the poor people, that is just gone so much more into the coffers, confiscated, as you're saying. And so the state's largest labor union is calling out the economists whose consistent underestimations of income tax revenue have sent $10.2 billion rushing out of the state coffers over the last decade.
How horrible.
So, you know what? I think when an
The
economist,
thieves are having to give too much of the money back. That's the problem, right?
yeah, they're pissed off about that, right?
You know,
And
$5.5 billion. If you just divide that by the number of people that work in Oregon, that's $3,000 if spread evenly. That's a chunk of money.
probably about that. Yeah.
I don't know anybody who works and pays taxes that couldn't use $3,000.
Oh, no kidding. Especially after what has happened in the last couple of years. Who couldn't use $3,000?
Yeah.
You know, there's many that are trying, between the crash of the economy and the inflation rates and the fire devastations and the COVID devastation that killed a lot of businesses. You know, there's a lot of people that could use that kind of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could use an extra $3,000.
I won't scoff at that at all. I'm not at all.
Never had 3,000 I couldn't spend.
Right. Right. And you know, but we've got some sad news. I think it's good news, and it's bad news. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the breaching the dams on the Snake River. And so Congressman Cliff Bentz has really brought this attention to it and the devastation that it will cause to the Pacific Northwest, not just here in Oregon, but Washington and Idaho, because there's a lot of barges that come out of Lewiston, Idaho. And there's a lot of commerce that's brought down the river. And so this article in the Corvallis Gazette-Times say that the conservationists and tribes say a deal with the Biden administration is a roadmap to breach the Snake River dams. So the U.S. government said Thursday it plans to spend $1 billion over the next decade to help recover depleted populations of salmon in the Pacific Northwest. And I'll tell you, David, the shame of it is I went to the hearing, the congressional hearing that was brought here to Tri-Cities, and listened to the experts. And I watched it before the hearings that Cliff Bentz had before bringing them here, and listened to those as well. But something that I follow, our city gets electricity from 2 of those dams. We own our city has its own utility, and so we own shares of those dams, and our electricity comes from those. So that's a big deal. And to hear this fellow who was a fish expert and had done studies, he actually pointed out that there's no difference to the salmon return on the rivers that don't have any dams and the rivers that have dams.
Yeah.
And so it's
not about fish.
It is not about fish. But so in reading this article, then I say the good news is, as Cliff Bentz had pointed out in the congressional hearing, that was in Tri-Cities. He said it takes an act of Congress to ever breach a dam. And there was a secret court order negotiations going on that he brought to light actually in this hearing. And he said, so is the court going to try to go around Congress? Well, apparently not.
Would be the first time.
Because, right. And so it is saying, should Congress ever agree to breach the dams? But still, $1 billion over 10 years, that's $100 million, right? That's the math, $100 million a year that they're going to be putting into. It says they're supposed to figure out how to offset the hydropower and the transportation and other benefits provided by the 4 dams on the Snake River. So I'll tell you, people, talk to your electeds, and just, this is something to pay attention to. You know, this affects us, and hydropower is the cheapest power. And this fish stuff is a bunch of baloney.
Nuclear is the cheapest, but it's pretty damn close.
Well, this is already built, so that makes it the cheapest. It's already been built and paid for, okay? Built and paid for. It's operational. It's damn cheap. You know, 3 cents, 4 cents a kilowatt.
And it's renewable. It's green.
And it is. We get rain and snow every dang year, and you can't argue with that. It's the ultimate renewable energy.
If you keep all of the hydro going and maybe build a few more dams, the earth will heal. And the whole temperature, if we do it here in Oregon, the temperature of the whole globe will drop.
You think so? I know that we need water storage. I don't know about that, David. But that's what they
tell you. They tell you the whole world's going to burn up if you keep driving a damn car here in Oregon.
Well, I think what we do need is more water storage.
Dams are great. Dams were one of the best inventions man has ever put together. You know, dams, aqueducts, they've all,
yes.
That's how we supported a growing population throughout the last 10,000 years. Is increasing agriculture, and dams do that, because dams don't do anything except hold the water up for a while before it reaches the ocean again.
Yes.
And then when the reservoir is depleted, the rains fill them up again, and the cycle repeats itself, and you can water the crops and now generate some electricity. And, like the fish expert said, it doesn't really matter to the fish. Fish adapt.
No, it doesn't actually. And so, but know that our region is going to be infused with $100 million annually to
grift. I smell grift.
But this is what this means, because they've committed $1 billion for 10 years to help recover depleted populations of salmon. They kill them even at the fish. At the, I was going to say the fish factory, at the fish farm,
The sea lions kill them before they get anywhere near a dam.
They do, unfortunately. I've read about that happening.
They park on the mouth of the rivers that the dam, the fish use to get to wherever the hell they're going, up a river, up a stream, and they just slaughter them by the millions, They just sit out there. I've seen them out there when I was salmon fishing. They're just these big, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them out there eating hundreds and hundreds of fish a day each.
Yeah.
And
so
we got to spend $100 million to get rid of dams, because
a year, $100 million, $1 billion for the next 10. And there is a group of 44 Republicans said, we're not happy with this at all. And Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers out of Washington said that she has serious concerns about what this agreement means for the future of the region, because it jeopardizes energy, irrigation, and navigation benefits that support our entire way of life. And she's absolutely right. It does. So anyway, they're bringing that to you.
Well,
There,
you know what the Roman emperor would have said when somebody says, "Hey, you got to get rid of those dams because we don't have any fish." He would have said the same thing that Elon Musk said to people that are trying to extract money.
right,
You spent good
right,
money building those things, and those dams
yeah,
are feeding
yeah.
fields. You're all eating the benefits.
Yeah, and exactly right, Pam. And flood control. Don't even mention the flood control. I mean, that's
Yeah,
one of the reasons, original reasons for dams is flood control. And then the added benefits of navigation and everything, and all the agriculture, and it goes from there. So, well, more things for courts is our Oregon senators had their hearing at the Oregon Supreme Court yesterday, and they're hearing about if they are going to be able to run for reelection or not because of Measure 113. And it's all about the interpretation of Measure 113. And something I think it was Tim Knope had said, the thing is we have to look at the language, not the ballot title. We have to actually look at the language, not interpreting it, but the language of the what it.
yeah. The ballot title is nothing.
The ballot title is nothing. That's exact. It's only a caption, and
Yeah,
so they have to look at the actual language of it and then follow that language.
yeah.
And otherwise, if you're not going to follow that, then you're not following the
And
Constitution.
there's no reason to have language. You just pass a headline.
Yeah, if you don't support the plain language of what the Constitution says, then you're left with complete interpretation of intent after the fact. And
Yeah.
yet, when you're going into that, they could go back even to the arguments of the committee and look at what their intent was. I mean, that's how you do it. If you're having a problem interpreting something, you go back to what the lawmakers voted on to that discussion.
Right. Well, this was the voters.
Well, it was, but it had to start somewhere, right? It didn't start. I
It
did it.
did. It did, but if you wanted to establish intent, you would have to poll 1.8 million voters because they voted for the headline. If they did not read the
Right.
language, they voted for the headline for a specific intent. So yeah, I agree with I agree that you have to look at the actual language.
You do the black and white part,
Yeah,
and not try to put anything else in there. Well, it could
right.
mean this. No, just read the black and white.
Even
And
if it's poorly written,
right,
and
exactly.
many of them are.
Certainly, certainly. So, because the Secretary of State is saying they can't run this coming election, and the senators are saying no, it means we can't run the following election. We can go one more term, and then we wouldn't be able to run for reelection. So that was the argument. And like I said, we'll keep you posted on what comes of that. And I hope the senators win.
Well, let's hope that justice wins, right?
Right.
I mean, if you read that, you'll come away understanding that what it actually says is it says that the well, I don't know it verbatim, but it says essentially that the person, the legislator, will become ineligible following the term, following the expiration of their term. So if they're up for election in 2024, their term will not expire until January of 23, right? And I think
Right.
this is so they can run in 24.
Right. That's exactly it. You just hit it spot on, David.
Yeah, it was poorly written, and that's one of the reasons I'm not so sure that I support the initiative process. I 100% support the referendum process. I think when lawmakers pass bills that a majority of voters are in an uproar over. Like, Measure 67 was a referendum on giving driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And it passed overwhelmingly in Oregon, even with a D+10 voter registration. It passed overwhelmingly. 67% of the people said, no, we don't like that bill. And that referendum process, I think, is the hammer that voters really need. But the initiative process where voters don't initiate these things. Someone with an agenda words it cleverly, and then they send it to the attorney general, who spends weeks developing a highly biased headline to mislead people, knowing the average voter will not read the bill or read the initiative and know what it actually says. And they're using that to pass stupid legislation. And they're a lot of times they're doing it very sloppily. And 114 is another example.
Oh yeah.
It has
And 110.
it has like 114 has in the all the words that come after the highly biased headline, and all those words, it has things that don't exist that have to be right.
Right.
That are
Absolutely.
out of the control of Oregon.
Right. Which doesn't make any sense. You can't mandate a federal agency to do something for the state.
The state of Oregon cannot tell the FBI that they need to develop a new program for to keep people from getting guns in Oregon.
Right.
Right.
You can't do that.
And that's all the judges should look at that, and they should go, well, I'm not sure how that falls as far as an interpretation of the Constitution, but I think logically speaking, if legislation depends on things that can't happen, then I think one could draw the intent from that wording, that the intent of 114 was to ban everyone in the state of Oregon from buying another firearm ever. Yeah. Which that is their intent. They don't want you to have guns.
Definitely is their intent. In fact, I did see a headline. I don't have the story here, but I saw a headline that I think it was Illinois upheld a gun ban. The Supreme Court of Illinois upheld some kind of gun ban, but I'm sorry, I'm not familiar enough with the story. Maybe you are.
I'm not. I didn't hear that one.
Yeah. And so I'll see about bringing that to you next week.
I don't buy my guns at gun stores anyhow. So.
No, I won't bring the gun to the program, but I'll bring that story.
They can shut down all the gun stores they want, but there'll still be a brisk market in guns. I guarantee you that.
So switching gears to a little bit of national stuff here. This is the FDA official shames the Florida Surgeon General for raising DNA contamination concerns on COVID vaccines. And so basically he says that questioning the purity of mRNA COVID-19 vaccines is tantamount to spreading disinformation that kills people. The FDA's top vaccine official not so subtly implied to Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo. Yes, exactly. Dr. Joseph Ladapo this week. And because he had done research, Ladapo notified the FDA Commissioner, Robert Califf, and CDC Director Mandy Cohen December 6th of recent research awaiting peer review that found DNA fragments in both Pfizer and Moderna vaccines from Ontario, Canada. And, DNA fragments in both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines from Ontario, Canada. And in fact, I heard tonight that they're building.
Is that on the label?
Well, that I don't know. I doubt it, David. Remember when they stopped putting the little info paper in there, right?
Does the guy on the end of the commercial, the guy that talks really fast on the end of the commercial?
Right.
I mean, you're talking about fragments of human DNA, I take it.
Yes, it says the
That's
lipid
weird.
nanoparticle delivery system in mRNA technology may be an equally efficient vehicle for delivering contaminant DNA into human cells,
My
Ladapa
God.
wrote. He asked if FDA standards for residual DNA consider LNP delivery and whether the agencies had evaluated the risk of DNA integration in reproductive cells. And the FDA responded yesterday in bold. We would like to make clear that based on a thorough assessment of the entire manufacturing process, FDA is confident in the quality, safety, and effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccines. And so Peter Marks, he's the director for the Center of Biologics Evaluation and Research, said it would be quite implausible for residual small DNA fragments to make it intact all the way into chromosomal DNA. Quite implausible. He doesn't say it's impossible. Actually, they might not know, but maybe they do. And so there's a medical argument here,
Yeah.
whether that DNA should be in there or not, and why should it be in there? I asked that question. Why does that need to be in there? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I'm not scientific-y enough to understand why it would need to be in there, but I am American-y enough to understand that it's okay to ask that question. I don't know if we're going to get shut down over asking this question, but that's a fair question to ask, and I think it's even probably even more fair being asked by a doctor. And in response to Bobby's question. A lot of people don't know it, but vaccine injury immunity was granted by Congress, I think in 1987, to vaccine manufacturers. So, no, you can't sue them.
Not in this country, but there's others that are being sued, actually, in
Yeah.
other nations.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that other doctors are asking questions and doing research. There's a lot of research that's come out about this, and I thought this was a good thing for us to just bring an awareness to that. There's and the doctor, the Surgeon General in Florida has, I believe in Florida, has said, you know what, we're not doing these for children. We're not approving this at all for children.
Good for him.
And because there hasn't been enough research done on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's
You
better
want
to
you want the vaccine? Go to New York.
be cautious than just say, oh, sure, let's move ahead with this. And I mean, to say, well, it's highly implausible. Well, that doesn't say, or quite implausible. That doesn't say it's not going to happen. And I think there's a lot that we don't know about all of that. So I just wanted to bring that up. Now we've got this a brave Christian. I don't know if any of you have heard about this at the Iowa State Capitol, of all places. They put up a satanic display. And so Fox News had reported,
To get a rise out of the Christians.
of course, coming up towards our, most sacred Advent, right?
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of satanic stuff around right now. And remember one of the uh, addresses that Biden had done, and it was all red, and
Yeah, I
that was
remember that.
like so
It looked like
weird.
it looked like a Hitler.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that
That
was really weird.
that was weird. Like I've never seen any kind of a press conference or a State of the Union or anything that looked like that. So what happened after this satanic display at the Iowa State Capitol? A courageous Christian tore down the disturbing satanic display which was mocking Christianity during the sacred season of Advent. And his name is Michael Cassidy. And I actually saw a little video of him, and he chopped the head off of this. So it wasn't going to be just stood back up again. And he has been arrested and charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief after damaging the display. And they said the Satanic Temple of Iowa said it was beyond repair. And he said, as a good Christian, he had said, as a good Christian, I could not just let that stand. And so there are people that are raising money for him because he's been arrested. And I actually heard a lawyer this morning state that this is not a First Amendment thing. It's not a thing that's going to be protected by the First Amendment. And but we'll see what happens.
Well, I don't see why they'd be upset over beheading whatever it was they beheaded it. I assume some either depiction of Satan or demon or something. I mean, beheading is pretty satanic-y, right?
Right?
I mean, yeah.
Sacrifice. Isn't that what they're about? I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're about. I don't really know.
I mean, if it was Satan, Satan would laugh.
Yes. And so, Mr. Cassidy, my hat's off to you for taking that bold step. And we need to, well, no, I don't know about we need to. So we'll see. So if you want to look him up and donate to his
thing going on here,
donate to his cause, I think that could be a good thing. I'm sorry, what'd you say, David?
You're saying we need to, and then you stopped. I was wondering what you were going to say there.
I'll just let it ride.
Were you going to say we need to behead more Satans? Or?
No, in fact, this is written by Catherine Salgado. And she says on here that, first of all, freedom of religion and free speech do not mean that there is any sort of obligation for state or federal governments to allow any and every pseudo-religious group to erect displays in public areas.
Sure.
Indeed, I say with confidence that the overwhelming majority of founding fathers would have been appalled at the idea that a satanic display was erected at a state capitol and that the man who took it down was the person who got in trouble with the law. And yeah. And secondly, the Satanic Temple members have admitted that it is not a religion. So you can't get it for destroying a religious something or other, right?
Yeah, it's just something to goad the Iowa Christians on. That's
absolutely.
And they got the response they were looking for.
Yeah. So it's then we have this I couldn't believe when I ran across this story here. A Senate staffer caught making hardcore porn in the Capitol office building. And the Democrat senator has been identified. It is Democrat Senator Ben Cardin. And it is his staffer that was caught making hardcore gay porn inside the Capitol complex. This disgusting.
So there's an OnlyFans coming out of the Capitol office.
What does that mean? OnlyFans.
Oh, it's a porn. It's a site where people can have a channel, and most of it is porn. And the people that are doing it are making money hand over fist.
Wow.
Hundreds of thousands.
Is there no place that's
hundreds of thousands of dollars a week.
Wow. I had no idea. See what you can learn on Captive Audience? I had no idea.
I think I read about the top OnlyFans account, which was a young woman, of course. That's most of them are what it is. She made $70 million in 1 year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
So
She's loaded. Crazy.
70 million bucks.
wow.
So,
Wow.
I mean, I'm not sure how much a staffer gets paid in the Senate offices. So, maybe he just needed to make some Christmas money. I don't know.
Well, apparently so I'm going to read this little bit here. The so-called hallowed halls of Congress play host to a plethora of indecent acts every day. But one staffer for Senator Ben Cardin is taking it to new levels. The public Twitter account of the audacious young twink is comprised almost solely of him in flagrant delicto with his older bear partner. The images and videos are explicit and conspicuously and deliberately contain the staffer's face. One
Wow.
pic in particular, shared privately with Cockburn, raised his eyebrow as it was taken in what certainly appears to be a conference room in the Hart Senate office building where his boss's office is located. And
Wow.
yeah.
Is he
So
white?
apparently, this video showed a nearly naked man on all fours in the Capitol office building with a well placed Capitol dome over his genitals. And the video wasn't just nude posing either. The male staffer and his boyfriend filmed themselves having sex inside the meeting room.
Is he a white twink?
I don't know. There's no picture of him, so I don't know.
He's
But
just
I'll
trying to.
tell you,
I was just trying to wonder if he's going to get fired or not.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well,
This to me
if he's
is
white,
appalling. You can go have sex, you can have your life as an adult and do what you want. But like some things are just, to me anyway, sacred, and you're not going to go do that.
yeah.
That's just my
Well,
take. Maybe I'm a little old fashioned. That's okay, but that's just my take. But I
yeah.
wanted to bring that up because it's like, oh my gosh, the Democrats are so vile. Now, have Republicans done that?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, it's a vile
Probably.
place. It's a vile place. It is the hive of scum and villainy. Capitol Hill
That's
is.
the truth. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
They are thieves and liars, and they kill people, and they're
So,
murderers. And so it's probably just a natural progression.
oh God, don't tell me that, David. I don't want to believe that. Natural progression, egad.
I didn't want to believe it either. But after Clinton, I figured, you know what? There's no decorum, there's no dignity left in the White House, obviously, and after seeing how Congress works, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have some good news. I'm going to call it good news today because you
Okay.
know all about Russiagate, right? Well, a former FBI official linked to Russiagate probe sentenced to 4 years in prison for foreign conspiracy.
Really?
And a former top FBI official involved in the Russiagate, and his name is Charles McGonigal. He pled guilty in August to aiding a Russian oligarch in exchange for secret payments, according to the Wall Street Journal. And McGonigal was sentenced to approximately 4 years in federal prison and fined $40,000 in a Manhattan court. And he was directly related to this whole Trump Russiagate garbage. And so I'm glad he's gone to prison for 4 years. It's not nearly long enough.
Yeah, well, I guess you can add the FBI's headquarters to that hive of scum and villainy as well, because that's seen a lot of that coming out of the FBI. I'm surprised that he must have been a fall guy for somebody.
Don't you think? That's
Well,
kind of
yeah,
what I thought.
I do think, because normally they protect
Yeah.
their own, and
And
that
so
makes
he
sense.
was involved in the Crossfire Hurricane probe, also known as the Russiagate probe, into the Trump campaign in 2016. And McGonigal was also involved in the classified defensive briefing that was given to the attorneys of failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. So is he doing a fall for Clinton? I don't know. I'd like to see her fall. I'd like to see them fall, quite frankly. And
Yeah.
I wanted to bring another story. You know, we talk about energy a lot on, and this one is just it. When I read, I go, this has to do. I gotta just tell you. A grand jury indicts 2 men for allegedly hunting and killing bald eagles and selling their feathers on the black market. So here's 2 guys. Anna, I'm not saying I condone what they've done, but yet we have wind turbines that indiscriminately just kill them.
Right.
And it was under Obama that was determined turbines. It's okay, you can kill the bald eagles.
Yeah.
And maybe if these people weren't selling the feathers, then they wouldn't have gotten in trouble. But I don't condone what they're doing. But it made me think, because see, where I live, we have wind turbines around here, and we live in a lot of migratory birds fly through here, and I've talked with people, and they said, we're just not seeing the some of the birds as much as we used to. Some of the falcons and hawks and whatnot. So I just wanted to say that. I was like, where's that justice, right? I guess that's all. I guess that's all. Hey, a last piece of news is there is at Arlington National Cemetery, it had been voted that the Confederate monument was going to be removed. And so there's many senators stated, Republican senators and congressmen said, we don't want it to be moved at all. Well, if it's still, they're calling for it to stay at Arlington National Cemetery. But it has been voted on by the board of the Virginia Military Institute that they will accept that statue, and they own it and it will be placed at a Civil War site owned by the Virginia Military Institute. And frankly, the left is trying to destroy our history and take everything down. That's what the communists want to do. Mm-hmm. And so this is just another stab, this decision. It was another Congress that voted to do it when Democrats had control, of course. And so I hope that it doesn't get moved, but if it does, I'm very glad that it will go to the Virginia Military Institute, some property that they own. Because I was, I just don't agree with all of our stuff getting torn down, our monuments.
No, what's next? Washington Monument?
Right.
How about the Thomas Jefferson Memorial?
How about the Abe Lincoln Memorial? Yeah. Right? Where does it end? End?
Well, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
Hey, Dave, I wanted something I had no idea. If everybody's looking for something to do, like on Wednesday, I talked about, hey, you know what? I had 30 years of sobriety. Hooray. But I'm not opposed to people drinking, but I read about this story. Beer sales are dropping because THC beer is on the rise. Have you heard? Do you know anything about that?
Actually, my youngest daughter told me that it's on the rise. No.
Yeah. So apparently
somebody else did. She told me that non-alcoholic beer consumption was on the rise. Never mind.
Well, there you are. So draft beer sales are declining as much as 30%, and a new trend is emerging: the rise of THC-infused drinks. Adam Terry, the co-founder and CEO of Cantrip, I love the name, Cantrip, a THC-infused drinks company, notes this shift.
Apparently there's one in the refrigerator here.
Ah, there you go. So it doesn't have alcohol in it, because it did say they were like mocktails. But I'm thinking, if you've got THC in it, how does it be a mocktail? Because it doesn't have alcohol? I don't know anything about that.
You say it tastes like Coca-Cola?
Yeah, it's Coca-Cola.
Oh, it's Coca-Cola flavored THC
Well,
infused.
I'll be darned. So apparently it is the emergence of THC infused drinks is seen as a direct competitor to alcohol. And the increasing
Uh-oh.
legalization of cannabis in the US has led to a growing market for THC infused mocktails, seltzers, and wines,
Uh-oh.
touted as healthier alternatives due to their lower calorie content and absence of hangovers. But I bet you can't drink as many of those as you could a beer.
No way.
She
I
says
don't
no
know.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
right.
says
So
no
if
way.
you want to have a few beers, that's one thing. But if you want to have a few of those, I don't know. It might be one and done. I don't know. And I won't be trying it either. But
Hey,
I
I've
had
got one.
no idea.
I didn't either actually, and I probably have more THC than most anybody in the state. Wrapped up in
Well, this
flour.
is why I thought you would have heard about this because
No,
I know that you.
no, it would be like a new corn product, and I'm the corn farmer. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
So hey, there you are. We've got
So,
THC
so
beer.
I got one other story for us. It's kind of funny. Um, so I like movies, right? And when I have an hour and a half, I like to watch a movie if I can. And so I chose an hour and a half long movie, and it's a new movie, and it has Julia Roberts in it, whom I like, whom I've never seen in a bad movie, and who I've also seen in some extremely well written, well produced, well acted movies, right?
Yeah.
And it also has Kevin Bacon in there for not very long, but I'm neutral on Kevin Bacon. I can't think of anything that he was in that was like, oh my god, that was a great movie. So I watched this movie. It's Leave the World Behind, right? And I
Mhm.
get into it. I most movies that I don't finish, I get in about. It can be as short as 10 minutes before I go. No, the writing's horrible. Sometimes 15, sometimes 20 minutes. Well, I got in this about 15 minutes and I thought, man, this is a horribly written movie. But I keep watching and I keep watching and I'm thinking the whole time to myself, I'm thinking, how in the world would Julia Roberts, who was at one time the highest paid actor in the world, so she doesn't need money.
Right.
She hasn't bought any islands or French villages like what's his name? I forget his name, but she's not earning for money. Why would she do this movie? I mean, why would you do that if you're a great actress known for good parts and participating in good scripts? And it was a horrible script, and it was horribly directed. And other than her, it was horribly acted.
When
Right?
was this movie made?
2023. It's a
Oh,
brand
wow.
new movie.
Ah.
So I watched the movie and I get to the end, and the end was just absolute shit. I thought this is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And it had this great actress in it, and I had high expectations for it. And I kept wondering, why would she do this movie? And today I hear on the news, and I just looked it up on the internet, this movie was produced by a production company owned by Barack Obama and Big Mike.
Ah, the
This was
connection.
Obama's film. And I didn't know that when I watched it.
Wow. So you
It
were
was
actually
horrible.
neutral. You didn't
It
go
was
in with a
it was
preconceived
a horrible
idea.
movie. It was a horribly done movie. The writing was bad. Again, the the writing was bad. The production was good. The directing was nothing special. The acting was mostly horrible, except for Julia Roberts and the 13-year-old daughter Rose in the movie. And I just thought, I got to the end and I was just awestruck. I thought about it, and thought about it the next day. Why would you do a movie? Why would you do such a horrible movie like that?
Yeah,
It's because the Obamas
there
produced
you
the movie.
go. There's the connection. There's always
So
a connection in there somewhere, right?
if you're wondering about that movie and you see it on Netflix, I can almost guarantee you, if you're a movie fan, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
I had heard about the movie. What I heard was there's a new movie out by Obama, but I didn't know.
You
I
know,
don't know
I'd heard that too,
anything
but I
else.
didn't know it was that one. I
Yeah.
didn't know it was that one. And so I didn't know it going in. And I normally, like I said, I normally won't go more than 15, 20 minutes tops.
But
If
you're
the,
going, it's got to get better. It's
I'm,
with Julia
well,
Roberts. It's got to
I'm
get better.
well, now I'm intrigued why Julia Roberts is in a horrible movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's got to be some sort of redemption in it for it.
Her
And
name to get people to watch it. It's the
yeah,
bait.
well, her
was
and
the
Kevin
bait.
Bacon. Yeah, her and
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon. Kevin
Yeah,
Bacon,
that's what it is.
he's a commie. I guess she is too, but you know, Kevin Bacon's a little bit more vocal about it. But anyway, so that's my film review of the week.
Hey, well, there you go. You don't need to do that. And, you know, our audience is already going, nope, no thanks. Thanks for the warning. And, yep, I don't do Netflix either. I'm so glad I won't waste my time. There you are.
Yeah.
And so, everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you. Share the message and good night.